Jordan Peele has said that he will not cast white male leads, or I guess you can assume white female leads as well in his movies. But I'm just adding that other part on. But he did say he won't cast any male white leads in his films from this point on. I mean, he hasn't so far, and he's going to continue that. And basically, all this comes from I read this report on the Hollywood Reporter, and it was just him going to this school that it was a Upright Citizens Brigade theater, and it's an improv theater in East Hollywood, and he was doing a Q&A, and all throughout the Q&A he was just answering questions, of course, Q&A, but toward the end of the article that I read, he basically came out and said that just to summarize it, that he won't be, putting a white male lead in his movies because he's already seen that movie. And I know a lot of people could probably pick it apart and, just be like, oh, probably trying to pull a racist card or anything like that. But it's like, I agree with him. I mean, if he wants to do that, that's cool. Because I know if I was in his position, I probably would do the same thing too. I would want more, black people as the lead in my movies. And not even just black people, but like an Asian person as the lead. Maybe a more female leads in the movies. Or more maybe like, Native American or just Indian type people. Just more ethnicity diverse type of like, actors within the movie. And with him doing this, it's his prerogative, as long as the studio allows it and he keeps pumping out great movies, he's going to get more creative control when it comes to aspects like that. And with both of his films, from Get Out to Us, both doing critically and financially good, and just also perceived as being really good amongst the fans, he's gonna get more creative freedom with it. The one thing that I don't like what people saying, this is kind of going a little bit off the topic, is like people saying that he is maybe the next Spielberg, or not even the next Spielberg, but just the next master horror, just putting him on a high pedestal. And two things wrong with that. First thing is that, yeah, he has put out two kind of basically horror films, because the first film was like a thriller, psychological horror or whatnot. The second one was a straight horror. But nonetheless, they both were good in their own rights or whatnot. But it's like, don't hail him too much like that, because you never know. His third film may end up just being not that good, and then the fourth film just kind of like go down from hill from there. Hopefully it doesn't pan out that way, but we never know what the future may hold. Maybe if you get like 5, 6, 7 movies in a row, maybe if he does something like Christopher Nolan, where almost every single movie that he's done has been critically just like loved, and even like the movies that aren't looked at as like his best are still good, then we can start talking about that. And then it's like Christopher Nolan isn't even on the pedestal of being like the next Steven Spielberg. Give him some more films, maybe like 3, 4, 5 more films, then people will probably start putting him up in like the, giving him just kind of like the nod. But so far, don't do that, because the last person that they did that to was M. Night Shyamalan, and we've all seen what happened to his career, from it just being on the highs, going low, and then coming high again. And right now it's kind of like, what's next for him? Like, is the next one gonna look good? Because I know a lot of people really wasn't into favor with Glass. So, but in any case, with him doing that, it's gonna put it, in retrospect of like, where he wants to take the industry, and maybe more people will follow suit. Maybe people will start to follow suit with it or whatnot. But I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I would love to see more black people in like, lead roles that he's doing. Hopefully it doesn't just be like horror films that he does. Hopefully it just be more like maybe he does a romantic comedy or a comedy, or, maybe an action film. Maybe something like that, just to kind of like, change gears from just being, known for doing one type of specific genre. Maybe he does, got 2 horror films. See, the thing is, I would love for him to do a trilogy of like horror films. Like, I'm not talking about like all of them being connected or anything like that, or sequels. But I'm talking about, he put out Get Out, which is critically loved, and Us, critically loved, and then do another separate horror film that people love, critics, fans alike, and just do it like that. And then after that, go somewhere else. Do like a comedy, something that you came out of with Key and Peele, and then Mad TV. Do something like that, and then maybe after that, I ain't gonna say like do 3 horror, 3 comedy, like that, because that whatever. I would want to see more of different things that he can do as far as his creativity and everything else, and him as a filmmaker. Like, I'm really interested in that. So I don't know. Like, I just want him to do that. But having like white male leads, I mean, that's not really a necessity. I mean, anybody who's offended by that, be offended by it. Whatever. When you look at almost majority of the movies that's coming out every year, you have majority of white leads. You have movies that you can pick from. If you're offended by that, go watch one of those movies. You don't have to watch a Jordan Peele movie. He's just one director that said that he's going to do that. Even if you got like 20 other directors, maybe black or maybe white, maybe another ethnicity, say that they're not going to hire, or not even hire, but have white male leads or white female leads as the stars of their movies. That's still a small percentage of the rest of the people, of the rest of the filmmakers, the directors, and everything else. The only way I could see that that's changed is if, say, he puts out the next 2-3 movies and they're not that good. So then after that, he has to cater to what the studio wants. Then I can be like, okay, yeah, he's gonna have to go ahead and like, get that out the way and get back, on his high horse or whatnot. And that's not saying nothing, whatever, but he's kind of is on a high horse, and I'm not saying that in a negative tone or negative way or whatever, but he is riding high right now. I guess you could say, there we go, not high horse, because that's always used in a negative term. So let's just say he's riding high right now. So let's just hope that he keeps that momentum. It just keeps riding that wave. But yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it. I really don't, because with me wanting to be a filmmaker myself, I see myself, getting more ethnicities, in the lead roles rather than just white people. Like, I wouldn't have no problem casting a white person as the lead, but I would want to see more of a black person as the lead, a Mexican, somebody like that. Just another ethnicity that isn't utilized too much in Hollywood as far as these big budget known name IPs or whatever. So I mean, I just don't want it to be like you have to go to an indie film in order to see another ethnicity as the lead or whatever. So hey, I mean, I don't blame him for that, and so I'm really looking forward to what he has as far as these movies.